Hi everyone, this is my review of the Scream Trilogy in preparation for the upcoming Part 4. I've been a fan of this series literally since I was 13. Scream 1 is, in my opinion, just a great movie. I mean, everything about it. The concept of the movie, the fact that it's a mystery and a satisfying one, as well as a slasher film, the fact that it's self-aware and a satire, everything is executed perfectly. I think what I love most about it is the way it captures high school kids in a small town, real intimate setting. I love the idea of a party that slowly breaks apart into all-out mayhem. I know that obviously movies like Halloween and of course Wes Craven's own Nightmare on Elm Street did all that before, but I just thought here it was so on point. The cast is all great, and what's odd is how none of them ever became mainstream stars. Matthew Lillard went on to play Shaggy. Jamie Kennedy, who nearly steals the movie, went on to do his own show where he pranks people. Skeet Ulrich, another one who kind of disappeared. I mean, I know he was in As Good as It Gets, but I didn't see much of him after that. Neve Campbell, really a great actress, I think. I suppose got kind of typecast as just one of the teen queens of the time, but really a great protagonist for this series. You really care for her. But I think the character I liked most, even more than Randy, was David Arquette's character of Dewey. I mean, he's not the kind of character you tend to see in scary movies. He just felt very real and really nice and lovable kind of guy, especially in the first movie. As the sequels went on, I felt they just made him dorkier and dorkier to make him the comedy relief character. But really, the first movie was the best. Well, whatever the case, these guys really felt like real characters, even though they're obviously played by actors who are much older. The writing in the movie is great, especially for our generation who grew up with VHS and cable. We knew all the horror movie cliches. So, you can take this movie as a comedy, and it's actually pretty funny. I compare this movie to The Princess Bride. Both of them are movies that aren't spoofs in the traditional Mel Brooks sense, but sort of a revisionist take on the genre, where the comedy is a little more subtle in the homage. Now, warning, I'm actually going to spoil the end of the movie, and I'm actually going to do this for all three. So getting to the end, Billy and Stu were just really effective and creepy killers. Especially watching the movie right after Columbine happened, as I did a few times, those scenes at the end become really creepy. It's like the movie itself goes insane for a moment. Yet this is the only time in the series where the identity and motives for the killers were actually satisfying. Billy was a major character throughout the movie, and his backstory was revealed ever so slightly throughout the story. Anyway, I could rave on and on about this movie, how much fun it is, how well-paced and suspenseful it is, how it really captured being in high school in the late 90s, and just how tightly written it is, but you get the idea. Scream 2 created the problem that the series started focusing more on satire and less on scares. I mean, I love the idea of the movie Stab, the movie within the movie, which is like the Scream series doing a self-parody. And I love how this movie begins in a movie theater and it ends on a stage. It's very self-referential. I liked how Cotton Weary, who's a character in all three movies, he really gets the biggest role in this one. Most of all, I think I liked how they just had the guts to kill off Randy in this one. It was just a nice way of saying, hey, just because we let him live last time doesn't mean we won't kill him off this time. On the negative side, I don't think the college setting works that great. The movie doesn't capture college the way the first movie captured high school really well. The revelation of who the killers are is so-so. Oh, Debbie Salt is actually Billy's mom. This explanation does seem kind of dropped out of nowhere. Anyway, not much to say on Scream 2. I liked it at the time, but it didn't stay with me. Scream 3 is undeniably the weakest. In a sense, it had a lot working against it. It was made 3 years after Scream 2. It had a different screenwriter. And Randy, who was everyone's favorite character, had already been killed off. So they had to give him a contrived little cameo. Oh, he's talking to them from a video, another movie within the movie, haha. Also, this one was set in Hollywood on actual movie sets. I mean, that was just taking the satire too far, and it was filled with Hollywood in-jokes and celebrity cameos. Like, I could take Carrie Fisher, but Jay and Silent Bob? Also, the killer has always had a voice changer throughout this series, but now he's got a special voice changer for the specific voices of everyone in the film. Talk about contrived. They also had way too many characters, most of them created for no reason other than to make us suspicious, and then be killed off all at once when they were no longer useful. Worst of all, there's only one killer. Did they really not realize that would be a letdown after having 2 killers in each of the first 2? Him turning out to be Sidney's half-brother was a joke. It just came out of thin air. Just an example of what not to do in a mystery story. You don't give your killer a backstory and motive that's completely unguessable. That's cheating with the audience. In spite of all this, believe it or not, I actually like Scream 3. I saw it again sometime later, and I had to admit that despite those flaws, and those flaws are big, you know what? It's still more fun and well-written than the majority of shit Hollywood churns out. So, what are my thoughts on Scream 4? Well, I'll definitely go see it. I've been a fan of this series all my life, and maybe I'll be surprised. But I really do feel that there's little that can be done at this point. I know the first movie was a spin on scary movies, the second one was about sequels, the third one was about trilogies, and I guess this one will be about reboots. But, what more can they really do after that? Anywho, regardless of these sequels, the first Scream will always be just a great movie, and I advise anyone who's a film buff to go back to where it all began.